I appears to not remember it well. He did say about the fact that we do not have much to spend and much to eat, as indicated in the radio broadcast. And he made mention that all people voluntarily went to engage in the agricultural production. It was not one who made such a speech. It was my chief at the time. And guests who were in my vehicle usually asked me and discussed different topics with me, and I told him that I was busy in driving you. Those guests usually could speak Khmer, and I, in reply, told them about some of the issues to those guests in my vehicle. I sometimes sent my guests to the markets, and the markets surrounding the markets, there were houses, but no people, and they asked me where the people had gone. I told them that they had gone to the countryside to engage in the production, and I was instructed repeatedly by my chiefs that I needed not to explain much while I was driving. Usually my guests in my vehicle asked me this and that.
Let me just ask you about a statement you made in your DC Cam interview. Again, E35783, Khmer 00428-812, English 00739-544, and French 00746-487. You said, quote, in the meeting, I was told to answer that people volunteered to work in agricultural production in the countryside if I was asked these questions. Question, who taught you to answer like this? Answer, the office chief told us to answer like this when we were asked. We had to tell them good things, although the truth was not. End of quote. Who was the office chief who gave you this instruction, Mr. Civil Party?
Thank you. Bong Miel, my unit chief. My office chief, rather. I did not know whether he got such instructions from the above or he initiated those instructions by himself. He advised me to tell that in order that we could explain and tell the guests. The meetings were held on a daily basis. And if I discuss this matter again, I would dwell on the content of the discussion made by Kyo Sompon in the meetings. I, as I said, have held issue, but as you bring the matter up, I would like to tell you now. In order to search for infiltrated enemies, we had to base ourselves on the principles of criticism and criticism. The title of the speech is in order to sweep away infiltrated enemies, we have to rely ourselves on principles of self-criticism and criticism, and also the principle of solid stance. The meetings were held for a few minutes, 10 or 15 minutes. The meetings of the big units were held once in 3 days, and the small meetings were held once a month. The meetings were to prevent the inside enemy to destroy all of us. I cannot recall it well, Mr. Co-Prosecutor. I may have mixed up the content of the study session conducted by Mr. Uncle Ieng Sari while I'm talking about this. Kieu Sampon or Uncle Kieu Sampon made mention about the support to cooperative. He says that on the 10th, 20th or 30th day, that is the holiday, the relaxing day from work, workers were still required to go and grow vegetables in order to support each cooperative and each unit. Each unit and each cooperative were required to raise their own cattle and livestock. You do not need to go and ask for meats from others. You have to be on their own master. My apology, Mr. Co-Prosecutor, if I may have mixing up the content of the discussion by Uncle Ieng Sari.
No worries. I'm going to come back and ask you some follow-up questions on that in the morning, I guess Thursday morning when we resume. Let's go back. I want to try to focus on your trips around the provinces. You've talked about being a driver when a delegation from China came, Chen Yung-kui's delegation. Did you drive the Chinese delegation around the entire country? And if so, did you go to the 1st January dam at the Stung Chanit River and to the Trapiang Tama Dam in the northwest during your trip with the Chinese delegation?
Yes, I went there. Regarding the visit of Chen Yung-kui and Secretary Pol Pot, it was the way like I accompanied other delegates to different provinces, but they did not go to Svay Rieng. Last time I accompanied delegates from Kampong Cham to Bawat Svay Rieng, but this time I accompanied these two guys to Trapiang Tama and the 1st January dam, to my recollection. To my recollection, we had a meal under the palm tree.
First January Dam work site and the Trapeang Tamad Dam site, and specifically whether you were able to observe the conditions at those sites or the conditions of the workers. Can you tell us what you remember about the trips to those two dam work sites?
Regarding the first January dam, it was not yet complete. It was not completely built. We went to observe the construction process of some sites. There were a lot of workers. They were working like they were working in rows like ants. But as for Trapeang Tamad, there were not so many workers since harvesting had already been done. We went there to observe the farming field. Some rice plants were almost ripe, but some others were just planted. We went to Phnom Srok as well in the northwest zone when Tanyam came to accompany us as well. Pol Pot was in attendance, but not Uncle Nuon and Uncle Khieu Sampon. They were on duty. There were a lot of vehicles in the convoy, maybe 50, 60 or 70 vehicles in that convoy.
And I just want to make sure the record is clear. When you went to the First January Dam, the Stung Chinit River, was Pol Pot with the delegation when they went to the First January Dam?
Pol Pot was always with them, since he was he was representing the guest country. He was always with the Chinese delegation. He accompanied the delegation all along.
I want to just to establish the time and ask you a few follow-ups. I want to read to you a broadcast from the Democratic Kampuchea Radio on the 7th of December 1977. Excuse me, Your Honors, this is document E3 1339, E3 1339, English ERN 00168 through 36, Khmer 01169188 through 9189, and there is no French translation yet. This was a DK radio broadcast titled Chen Yung Kui Visits the Central Region, and it reported as follows, Mr. Civil Party. On the morning of 6 December 1977, Comrade Chen Yung Kui, member of the Political Bureau of the Chinese Communist Party Central Committee, and other Chinese guests visited cotton and rice fields in Ville Spo in the company of comrades Pol Pot, Vorn Vet, Chun Chun, Minister of Public Health, Pock, Secretary of the Central Region Committee, and On, Deputy Secretary. In the afternoon, our fraternal Chinese guests visited rice fields in the Barai area and the Mui Makara Dam. Thousands of cadres and people filled with profound revolutionary brotherhood were on hand to warmly welcome the visitors. End of quote. A couple of follow-up questions. Do you remember whether Pol Pot had other party leaders with him, including Vorn Vet and the Secretary of the Central Zone, Kai Pak? Did you see them?
Yes, I did see them. When we arrived at zones, we would be welcomed by the zone committee since leaders from Phnom Penh were there. That is correct. There were many people. It was a very crowded situation.
And during this trip with the Chinese delegation, who is it that you were assigned to drive during that trip?
Comrade Miel. Comrade Miel assigned me to drive the vehicle first for Chuan Chuen, and when I arrived at Suong, his driver was so slow, and the vehicle with the film makers on it was too slow, so I was assigned to drive the vehicle transporting film crew. Film crew usually took photos and film of the guests and delegation. And as I said, the visit was made from the east up to Phnom Srok, and also we were on the fast boat as well to see the maritime border.
Just a last question about the driving assignments. Was it someone from your office, K-12, who drove Chen Yung Kui when he was there? And if so, who from your office was assigned to do that?
An observation, Mr. President, if I may. This is the first witness in the last segment, the role of the accused. Prosecution is free to ask questions that he likes, but to be honest, I haven't heard one relevant question in regard the segment, the role of the accused. For the information of everyone, we're not disputing the Chinese delegation's visits to the dam. They have been discussed extensively when we were discussing the work sites. I find it a complete waste of time, to be honest, but I don't know what you had in mind when you scheduled this particular segment.
Mr. President, I'm not really interested in insults from the other side. This witness, the civil parties, has described at length his meeting with, or political education meeting with Noon Che and Khieu Samphan. I am going to ask him some follow-ups on that, but he's described that at length. But he's a person who has a significant knowledge from a lot of areas, so I'm trying to develop some additional information on that as well.
President, continue, please.
Yes. What I was interested in, you've talked about your office being assigned to drive the Burmese president's delegation and this high-ranking delegation from China. Was it someone from your office who would be assigned to drive the Burmese president, the Lao president, and Chen Ying-kui? Was it your office entrusted with that?
Mr. Co-Prosecutor, the driver's unit, I mean modern vehicles, were parked at K12, and vehicles used for all angkors were parked there, and angkors for guests were also there. Leaders at the time used only a lambretta with a tent roof, but that lambretta was used to travel around different places only when the leaders accompany guests, they would use the modern vehicles. On Angkor Khieu Samphan, Angkor Von Ven, Angkor Prang's vehicle were parked at my office. The vehicles at my unit were used to drive local and international guests. Wives of leaders never used those vehicles. Back then, we had the principle to save a lot of expenditure unless we could move 15 more years that we could use a lot of staff and vehicles in a more modern way. Some of those who committed mistakes or who had the car crashed would disappear. Red Tree Choi caused some issue and they disappeared. But I myself did not inquire what happened to them. I did not tell you about my sufferings and what happened to me at the time, Mr. Co-Prosecutor, because of the time. President, it is now time for the adjournment. The Chamber will resume its hearing on Thursday, 10 November 2016 at 9 a.m. And the Chamber will continue to hear the testimony of civil party Sorceran, and we have the witness 913, and we also have a reserve of civil party 235 in relation to roles of the accused. Please be informed and please be on time. I thank you very much for your presence here, Mr. Sorceran. You are invited once again to come and testify on Thursday, 10 November 2016 at 9 a.m. Court officers, please work with the vessel to send this witness, this civil parties, to the place where he is staying, and please invite him back into the courtroom on Thursday, 10 November 2016 at 9 a.m. Security personnel are instructed to bring Kilsampon and Nunchia back to the detention facility and have them returned into the courtroom on Thursday, 10 November 2016 before 9 a.m. The hearing is now adjourned.